Wow, another day passes, right? Woo! Hey, good Thursday morning there, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, SUVs, the motorcycles, popcorn, Uncle Davey, the dogs. No dogs here. Wow, what another beautiful day here in Florida. Morning there for everybody that tunes in my channel. Saying hello from Friday. Another, hard to believe, it'll be close to 2 weeks that I've already been down here by technically Saturday morning, as I got here Friday late, basically at midnight. So, wow, it's Thursday morning. Jesus Christ. And as always, hey, thanks for tuning my channel. Appreciate all of the support, kind words, just silly stuff. Love it. I'm getting some emails, and some of you are sending videos, but it's just not populating, just so you know. If you don't see a response from me, not deliberate, but I just can't get the video to open up. But it's pretty cool. Some of the video does open up. And so, I appreciate you reaching out and trying to share your fun and excitement, which I think is really cool. And once again, just some of you out there, Biker Bug, that thing didn't open up. And another gentleman, jeez, I'm sorry. But anyways, so appreciate all the support, all the information, and that's what it's all about. My YouTube channel, my goal is to kind of share information, share ideas, share views, and just share my antics of who I am. And not that I'm bigger and better than you. I'm not. I can assure you, you're probably bigger and better than me. Probably smarter. You probably have more money in your bank account than I do, because all my money just goes right back out of my account to pay for all these things that I buy. And I guess that's what's kind of driven my channel over the years, is my antics of always having to buy something different and new. And yes, and what's incredible is I have a telephone, or I should say a cell phone, that has enabled me to share my antics and my stories on my YouTube channel. And what better way to start the day with our morning conversations of keeping the communications theme week of the video, TV, internet, conversations from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday was video, Tuesday was TV, Wednesday was the internet, and I thought, wow, we need to talk about the telephone and what is the history of the telephone, which is pretty interesting to read that, and it's a lot of information. And am I going to go through every fine detail of that? I'm not. But I thought, what a better way to start the day and talk about the telephone. And I thought, where we are in today's society, between food, water, shelter, what is probably the next most important thing you probably want to have in your life? And believe it or not, it's beyond believable where we are in today's technology world. It's what everybody has. It's a cell phone. 90% of the people in the world have a cell phone. It's incredible on how what we've evolved to in society of relying on a cell phone to make it through the day, which it's huge. So before we get to that, here's the Harleys. I'm getting some riding time in. Yesterday, it was so funny, I kind of got the kid out of the house, and we had to be back by 3 o'clock to take my mother to the doctor, the eye doctor. And so we really had a window yesterday to go have some fun. If you watch my channel, I populated the Tarpon Springs, the Sponge Docks down here in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and shared with you us walking through town and going to the old vinyl cassette CD store. That was pretty cool. And the owner was really cool. That has that. If you watch that video, you'll get a little bit more information on that. That's posted if you want to watch it. And so we just had a limited time to be able to really enjoy the bikes. Because once you get on a motorcycle, what happens to me is you just want to keep on riding. You just want to keep on riding. And we were coming back in. My daughter was so like, man, Dad, I just want to keep on riding. I'm like, yeah, me too. But sadly, in the aspect of the keep on riding, we have to go home to go take care of my mother and your grandmother, which she understands and gets that. But this CVO ST, I really haven't had a lot of riding on it, but the limited amount of time I've had to ride it, and keep in mind, I live up north, so it's a different type of environment. Just to jump on a bike and ride down the road down here, it's more about kind of keeping things in order with my very ill mother and managing things where I can't just really disappear for the day, per se. So, but anyways, whole point of that is the CVO ST is such a fun bike. It is so powerful. But it goes back to the telephone. That's why I thought, boy, everything we own today revolves around the cell phone, the telephone, the communications. Everybody that owns a vehicle, I can guarantee you, has a story of fighting the car, truck, motorcycle, whatever it may be, with your cell phone, getting the device to connect to your mobility transportation vehicle, whatever it may be, your headset, and it's just a constant fight with this technology, and about drives you nuts. I mean, it just makes you. I mean, how many stories do we know of people taking their cell phone and throwing it in the ocean or the pond, or just throwing it out the window driving down the road? I think that the reason I say that to myself and say to you is because when I was in the public telephone business, it's kind of too bad we weren't up north, because I could show you the public telephone that I used to have, the public telephone business, and I have a payphone in my shop. And it would be a little cool just to kind of show you that. I've showed it to you before, but I can still remember back in the 90s going to locations and the handset was broken. And I mean, I'm sure everybody can borderline, relate with this, where you have a major blowout in an argument with somebody, your spouse, your brother, sister, it could be your dad or mom, who knows? And in that, you end up just taking the handset and you slam it against the payphone and it shatters in half. Yes, did I have to fix a lot of those type of situations? Did I even break the handle, the cradle where the phone sat in the payphone? So the communication on these devices, in so many ways, it's so great. In so many other ways, it's so dangerous. I mean, more than ever, we have this tool that we use every day in our lives. And once again, it's more about, is it our friend, or in some ways, is it our enemy? And so what I thought I'd do this morning is we would kind of talk about the history of the telephone, where it really come from. I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, you had Edison, you had Graham, Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, you had Watson, but you also had Lisa Gray, and that's so interesting how my one neighbor has a dog. That guy walks just like my neighbor, just moved. And I've never seen him before. At first I thought that was him for a second. But the neighbor over here, they got the truck. The truck's all loaded up yesterday, and they're heading to Greenville, South Carolina, and so they have moved on. They have moved on, and now a 30-ish-year-old couple has bought that home. Yeah. So where's the kid and popcorn? Right, getting breakfast, getting coffee, doing their antics. So, anyways, the history of the telephone. Who really developed a telephone? When was the real first telephone made? When was the first telephone call even made? And it's kind of hard to see through that when you start researching the information through the internet, because there's a lot of people very involved back in the mid-1800s, really then kind of the 1870s, where you had a lot of guys out there scrambling to take claim to the first manufactured, or I should say created telephone. And at the same time, you say to yourself, telephone come from? What is that? Where did the term? So apparently Greek, tele is far, and then phone, I believe, is word or something. So telephone. So what I did this morning, as usual, with my creativity of my YouTube channel, which I don't post up all this technology like some guys get this stuff that populate on their screen, and I'm just old school. And so, let's see here. I'm trying to figure out where I saw that information, and then the cell phone. So sorry for the delay here, but here it is. So let's just show the same thing as I show you all my credit cards here, and you can steal my credit card numbers, right? And that did happen one time on my YouTube channel. Yes, yeah, Iceman, what the hell are you doing? So the word telephone from Greek roots tele, far, and phone, sound, was applied as early as the late 17th century. The string telephone, familiar to children, was later used to refer to the megaphone speaking to, but modern usage really solid electrical devices derived from. So there you got that. Then the history of the telephone, and then that kind of gets a little more complicated because there's so much information that it's over information. But we'll just go here, where this shows that back like in the 1875, Thomas Edison experimented with acoustic telegraphing. November builds electronic dynamic deceiver. A Hungarian guy is inventor of the telephone exchange. April 6th, Bell's patent for transmitters, receivers for electric telegraphs is granted. January 20th, 1876, Bell signed and notarized the patent application telephone. Elisha Gray designs a liquid transmitter. He created, I believe, Western Electric. Elisha Gray. Bell's patent for a telephone is granted on March 7th, 1876. Bell transmits the sentence, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you using a liquid transmitter electromagnetic receiver" on March 10th, 1876. So, could we say then that March 10th, 1876 was the first official, actual over-the-distance use of a telephone? But there's a lot of people going back and forth. Let me see if I can find the characters here, because there's a whole list of the different individuals. So here it is. These are like the key guys that supposedly kind of got the telephone. So Antonio Meucci constructed telephone-like devices in 1854. Philip Reese, he constructed the first telephone, today called the Reese telephone. Then you have Alexander Graham Bell was awarded the first U.S. patent. So that's where that's what's interesting, is this guy Meucci, he kind of designed it, but Bell seemed to capture this stuff and then take it for him to make a patent out of it, which I was kind of an argument. And then Elisha Gray, he designed a telephone using water microphone, and then Tevedot Paskaskas proposed the telephone switchboard, which that was very important. But then Thomas Edison, which is interesting, is he designed the carbon microphone, which that was put into telephones in the late 1800s, and it was used up until like the 1980s. I mean, that's crazy. That carbon microphone, I remember that. We took apart a hand phone, telephone headset or whatever you want to call it. And so somebody here on my channel that are my age or a little younger, you can so relate with the good old landline telephone. We live in an age today more than ever that, you know as well as I do, you talk to a young person and they're going to be like, landline? Telephone? I have a cell phone. Public telephone? What is a public? What is a pay phone? I mean, sincerely, I can guarantee there's so many people, a younger generation, like, they don't understand what we grew up with, that we had like one phone in the house that had one line. And then who doesn't know these stories? You're growing up as a kid, that if you had brothers and sisters, you were fighting over the frickin' phone to call your friend. Who doesn't remember calling your friend and you got the busy signal? And it was like, you call them 20 minutes later, call them an hour later, 2 hours. I mean, I can honestly remember my friend Tim and I, "Hey Tim, how you doing this morning up there in Jersey?" If you're in Jersey or down in Maryland, checking out some new property for your other retirement thing, which that's pretty cool. So I hope you're having a great day there, Tim. But Tim and I used to talk on the phone for hours. I'm not lying. Yeah, so my sister or brother or my mom or dad, they would get aggravated at us because he and I would just be yakking. And so, I mean, who doesn't remember those days? And once again, if you try to call your friend and you know your friend's sister or brother or mother or whoever's on the phone, you could never get through to them. So in the old days, typically you had one phone line. As time progressed, I think they made it so you could have call waiting, where someone would call you and you'd hear the phone make it on the other end. You could put them on hold and then answer that to see if it's a crucial phone call. But that was years and years later. So once again, the age group that the younger generation has no idea of the challenge of the telephone. Prettier pictures of the bikes and all that we grew up with, and it's just so incredible. I've talked about this on my channel before, so many times. I've always wanted to own a company where you didn't have to have a cell phone, pager, or nothing. I mean, I think about the true beginning to me getting out of high school in 1982 and beginning my life, my career, my journeys, my adventures, my successes, my failures. Who doesn't know these stories? Relationships, business, jobs. And so if you think about it, I would go to work. I didn't have a cell phone. Nobody had a cell phone. I mean, so if you think that through, when was the first cell phone? So that's the day is, so when do you think the first cell phone? So we already now know that the late 1800s was what we just talked about, just the landline telephone. But how many years did it take for us then to evolved to the cell phone. And I can still remember, this is the running joke of my family. My family has severe hearing loss. It's from my dad's side. My dad and brother, they have the worst hearing of the family. I have bad hearing, but not as bad as they do. My sister has bad hearing, but not as bad as they do. My other sister, she doesn't have that much of a problem. So my mother, of course, it's in her bloodline, so she doesn't have that problem, but as she gets older, it is. But the whole point is, the running joke of my family is my dad worked for the Bell companies. My dad, when he got out of college, he went to AT&T. He worked for AT&T, Western Electric. So he worked for the Bell Laboratories. That was his career position. And he worked for AT&T for 25 years. And then eventually he retired, only to turn around and then be a key individual that helped Sprint win a major contract to help Sprint kind of get going through the FTS 2000 contract, which was a military awarded contract by the government that Sprint just miraculously, through some creative endeavors that my father figured out, to win that award to get Sprint put on the map. And so anyways, the whole point of that is we've been in the telecommunications industry. I was in the public telephone industry. And my dad bugged me for years. You have no idea if my dad bugged me for years to get into I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to. I was in the oil industry doing very well. I mean, I was actually very successful. And it became more of a relationship issue back in the day. And so my dad just, for so many years. So finally I went and worked for another guy that owned a public telephone business. And I did that for 3 years. And I really learned all the ins and outs of the industry and business. And then I went off on my own. And I literally started my own telephone company and built it and had very great success. And so the whole point of that is, my family has some of the worst communication in the world. I've told you this before. I mean, around the table, I can remember as a kid sitting around the kitchen table, we didn't have hearing aids. My brother didn't have hearing aids. We didn't have that technology per se. I mean, he got hearing aids later in the 70s, but the early 70s, he didn't have a hearing aid growing up. And so we would just have these round table conversations around the table, and my dad would come home from work, and it was classic. I'll never forget when we moved to California, and we wanted to put a pool in the backyard. And so the conversation at the kitchen table was a small kitchen table with my brother and my sisters and my dad, mom, would be talking about the pool that my brother would think that dad went to the local tool to go get a tool. And my brother would be like, well, what tool did dad get? And then dad would be talking about meeting to talk about getting a pool. And my brother would be looking at my dad looking at my brother. And I think they're talking the same language, but they're not even close. And this goes on all the time if you watch the videos of my brother and my dad. So once again, the laughing joke is my dad was a very successful executive at AT&T, but yet his communication skills, because of his hearing, is like the worst. Yes. Yeah, some of it has to be, as we all know, you just kind of turn people off. Yeah, right. Who doesn't know that story? If you're a parent, husband, wife, it's selective hearing, as they say. But anyways, I can remember my dad, when I was just a kid, coming home from work. Yes, this is like 1971 or 72, I believe, in New Jersey. My dad brought home a Mustang, and he had this big-ass device in the middle of the console of this Mustang car, and in some ways, it was a cell phone. So let's go back over here to my phone. My phone turned off. You're always fighting the phone. You ever notice that? It's a constant fight the phone. And, okay, so now let's go to the first handheld cell phone. First handheld cell phone was by John Mitchell and Martin Cooper of Motorola in 1973. That was the first time they actually had a real cell phone call per se. But I'm trying to see here where the actual it was back in the early 1900s. It was back in the early 1900s that, let's see here, if I can get it here for you. There's a guy that literally developed a cell phone back in the early 1900s. And even for me, I'm like, there's no way. And, sorry if I'm kind of delaying the conversation here, trying to figure it all out and give you guys a little bit more insight. 1917 was a gentleman that really envisioned a patent for a pocket-sized folding telephone with a very thin carbon microphone. Isn't that something? It's pretty incredible, the technology and people, so many, we all smart and know everything. And it's just incredible if you look at the history of inventions and the people that saw things, understood things. Here we go. We're back. The two peas in a pod are back. And that's good. That's good. That way, if I get the bikes out, we can get them out. Good job. Yep, here we go. So here they are. What is going to be the morning conversation with these guys, right? What is Popcorn doing today? And there's a kid. They both got their hats on. Are you seeing this? Yeah. How would a kid survive today without a cell phone? Yes. So, back to over here. So it was what did we just say? 1973 or 1983? In 1973, it was the first handheld cell phone call by this guy right here. So, which was Motorola. But actually, cell phone use didn't really start to come available until 1983. And cell phone use really didn't take off until the late 90s because it was so expensive to own one. Who doesn't know this story? If you owned a cell phone, I can still remember being a salesperson working out of my truck or car and making cell phone calls. And I'm not embellishing you. This is like 1991, 1992, 1993. I had a $700 to $900 cell phone bill because you were billed by the seconds, not by the minutes. You were billed for every moment you talked. Here's my kid. I don't know what she's going on here now. So is grandmommy requiring something else? They have to go back somewhere else and get something. I don't know, because it's all about taking care of my mother. So something like that could happen. So anyways, I think to myself today more than ever, it's all about these cell phones. And these cell phones, as we all know, were the dumb phones that just had basic calling. Yeah. Okay. Well, I saw you playing with your phone, baby. Thank you, baby. You okay? Yeah, okay. So anyways, got my Starbucks coffee. Yippee yahoo, right? Have to transfer it to my Flags coffee. So in today's world, the cell phone. How you doing? She got some nice new little outfit down there at Tarpon Springs yesterday. Did you have fun yesterday?
Yes, I want to go back today.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, I'm just saying, I love the environment.
Hey, Dad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. Hey, Dad, I was telling everybody on my YouTube channel about how you used to work for AT&T. I'm talking about telephones today.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I'm talking about how the running joke is and how we all worked in the communication industry, but we can't hear worth a damn and can't communicate worth a damn.
That's right.
Now,
that wasn't a requirement.
Now, you got the award at AT&T for being the most, not the most obedient person, but you went to work every day and never missed a day.
I had the best absentee
tenure
record for 12 years.
Okay. Wow.
Of anybody in our organization.
Right.
Okay.
How many days do you think you ever missed from work with AT&T? What would be your guess?
Probably not more than 20 over 30 years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Well, didn't you work in the switchboard originally in the back room?
I was a technician. I maintained the microwave equipment. And,
down there in Nashville, Tennessee.
In Nashville.
Where that building got blown up after the election.
Well, one of our buildings there. Yeah, the building right next to the main building. And we stored, we had computers in there and storage.
Right, but what year was that? What year was that?
That was during the 2020.
No, you started working.
Oh, 19...
52?
Yeah, 1955, 56, 57, 58,
Yeah,
59,
right.
Then we moved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you started first inside
Right.
in the ground level beginnings. Your true was working. Weren't those in some ways like a central office switch? Is that what you basically were working at?
Well, I worked out of a central office. We had switchboards, but I was the outside guy. I maintained about 32 microwave stations between Louisville and Chattanooga.
Okay.
north of Nashville and south of Nashville,
Right.
on a microwave line that went from Chicago to Miami.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Go eat breakfast. Go check on Grandmommy. Right? Yeah, so there's just a little brief history of the popcorn guy, of his true beginnings. And he was going to college. They're not. Hey, Dad, weren't you going to college at the same time? You were going to Vanderbilt.
Well, I co-op between Vanderbilt and Peabody.
Right,
I worked nights and went to school days.
right. And how many hours of sleep did you get?
Most days about 4 or 5, maybe 6,
Right,
because I had classes in the morning and sometimes in the early afternoon.
all right.
Yeah, I'd go to work at 11 and get off at 7.
There you go. There's the popcorn true beginnings of him raising a family and making it all work. Didn't look for any handouts. He was actually taking care of my mother and my sister and my brother and even his mother, who sadly died of diabetes back in like 1970. Sadly, that's something that is in my bloodline, my grandmother's bloodline, which has diabetes in it. And I'm pre-diabetic. I am. I learned that like 14 years ago. So, but the good news is I don't have diabetes. So maintain your right lifestyle and do things right. So anyways, what spurred this? Well, it's all about this week. I'm just thinking to myself, where we are in today's society, communication, technology. And I just think that in so many ways, I think it's a great thing. But in so many other ways, I think it's so maddening. It is so maddening. And then you kind of go to, when did we get into the texting? And here we go. Sorry again to kind of, it's the morning conversations trying to keep everybody on the same page here, or am I, on when was the first texting. Okay, so here is the first ever text message. It was sent on December 3rd, 1992 by Neil Papworth, a 22-year-old engineer, to Richard Jarvis of Vodafone. The message, somebody said Merry Christmas, and was sent from a computer to his cell phone. So 1992 is when the texting started taking off. And for those people who are my age, it's pretty incredible on how we truly are of the technology revolution. I don't know how there's a word for it. I'm sure the computer age, the internet age, the cell phone age, technology age.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the gym.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be ready in a few.
Have you checked on Grandmommy?
I'm getting her food. I'm saying, like, I'm going to leave.
Okay.
Within 10 minutes.
All right. So anyways, little interruption here. So anyway, so the texting, and as we all know, what's the challenge today more than ever, I said in my original conversation, was we interact with all these smart devices that it seemed to make us dumber. I mean, are all these smart devices making you feel like you're stupid? I mean, sincerely. Just like for Mr. Sanchez, I love bringing up Mr. Sanchez. He likes to interact with my channel, and that's great. And I think he has great ideas, great views. And sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't, which whoop-de-doo-dah. Says it's the ongoing view of what he thinks that he knows versus what I think. And so it's this technology that drives you nuts, because over here on this new 2024, all new technology, I've talked about it numerous times, and this right here, this bike powers on, the infotainment center comes up, and once again, this is just kind of goes with the cell phone, the communications, and it just about drives you nuts, because let's see, which one do I hit? So right now, as I've told other people, if you want to have this infotainment center stream your cell phone information, I can't do it directly. I cannot do that. I have to, we go over here to music, which I'm going to make sure I turn this down, because, so if I want to go in here, I showed this yesterday, if I want to go into the play button for my cell phone or my Bluetooth, look, I can't do anything. There's nothing, when I hit that button here, nothing happens. So when I'm being told, so I guess I could outsmart this if I was probably smart enough. Do I plug in, let's see if we can get this here. Do I plug in this cable? I guess I could plug in the cable to my cell phone, and it may just go ahead and bypass that. But it has a new cable, it needs a special end versus the old style lightning jack for my cell phone, so I got to buy a different cable to make that work, or I'll find one laying around here somewhere. And maybe then I do outsmart this thing and I can plug my cell phone in to get my infotainment, my music playing through this thing. Have not tried that yet. But my understanding is if I want to go through the Bluetooth capability, I have to have a headset that pairs with the bike. So basically I have to have my cell phone that pairs to my headset on my helmet that then in turn will then enable me to be able to get this button here to recognize my cell phone. So there's one aggravation for me. It's just like, but why? Well, on this bike over here, I don't have to do that. And then the other problem is, that's the ongoing communication. When you turn this bike off, all the technology turns off. But others are like, well, that's not actually correct. You can keep it on if you keep the accessory button over on here, which I get that. So I'll hold this little button down, I'll power the bike off, and actually all the accessories and power stay on. Now I haven't held this thing for like a minute or two, but I've held it down. But once I let go of this little button right here, everything powers off. So I understand, if Mr. Sanchez is listening this morning, I understand I can come over to my bike and I can power these accessories on. I get all that. But the whole point is, when the bike is running, when a motorcycle is running, I turn this ignition switch on, and I turn the bike on. When I turn it off, the whole accessory things go bye-bye. And I've showed everybody this a gazillion times on my channel on how now in the old technology, you don't have this problem. And why did Harley do that? And once again, it's redundant for some, but it's all about your cell phone. If you have your favorite tunes, or if you want to listen to streaming, XM radio, Pandora, whatever it may be, on the older style bikes, you can directly Bluetooth your phone, and you get all these buttons here, and you can go in, and you can find the your if I can find the just too complicated. But anyways, the whole point is I can stream my phone directly to this infotainment center, so that I can listen to my cell phone music through this phone over here that I have right here. I can turn on my XM radio and I can stream it into the bike. But yet, on that technology over there, they force you in so many ways to go out and buy this, the Harley Davidson, which you then attach to your helmet. And this thing ain't cheap. Thing's like $350. So you have no choice but to go through having to buy something else for the bike to make the bike work without, I guess, plugging in, maybe plugging everything directly. But once again, here is everything. You can start this bike up right here. I can power this bike on and start the engine up, and I can turn it off, and all the accessories are still on. Why Harley didn't keep that same platform, I have no idea. And as I said yesterday, what's even nicer about these other bikes is you don't have all this crap. And that's, I think, where we are more than ever. I've talked about it so many times on my channel. I think so many people are just sick of all this damn technology. They'd rather just get on, in so many ways, this bike here. You turn on the ignition, you start her up, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you want to have your own headset, helmet, with your Bluetooth going to your helmet to listen to your sound, there you go. That's fine. Whatever. But it's just very simple. It's just all this frickin' technology, I think, for so many is becoming aggravating. And it's very dangerous. And I talked about this here a while back on how GM is literally canceling Apple Play and Android Play in all their cars. That's a fact. GM wants nothing to do anymore with arguing with people about their Apple phone and their Android phone that doesn't connect to their car. And anybody who has this technology in cars, you can so relate with. You will be so distracted driving down the road and trying to get your phone to connect to your vehicle, where you have to turn the vehicle, then you have to pull over the side of the road, turn the vehicle off, open the door, close the door. It is so maddening. I have this happen all the time in my cars that I own. It's a constant battle, and it's a constant distraction. It is so bad. And then, as we know, you're supposed to have hands-free driving. Does anybody think that the really, for the most part, they enforce this stuff? Sure, I know that it does get enforced, but for the most part, how many people drive down the road with a person who has the cell phone up to their ear, or you see the person texting and driving? And in so many ways, we know that the infotainment center on the newer cars, technically, if you want to take the time, you can text and talk through that infotainment center if you know how to manage that. But you know as well as I do, most people just don't know how to manage it. It gets too complicated. Even driving down the road and you having to take your eyes off the road to look at that infotainment center, it still distracts you. It's a major distraction. And isn't that kind of what the whole theme seems to be? In modern times, more than ever, it seems that what I'm saying, a distraction, seems to be the main goal of what's going on in our country by distracting so many of what's actually going on versus what really should be spoken about, what really should make sense. It doesn't make any sense anymore because everybody's being distracted by what some will call the false narratives. And that's where we are more than ever today. And you'll see things published on the internet, on X. It doesn't matter where you go. You'll see different articles, different things and claims, different proposals about different states of what's going on versus not going on. And then you start doing research and try to kind of figure out what the message was. And you kind of come to a dead end where you're like, I don't know. I mean, right now, on X, Elon Musk is saying that all these illegal immigrants in New York, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, he's proposing a bill. I think it's a proposed bill. I don't think it's a done deal. But all illegal immigrants will get like $10,000 and some odd dollars. And they're going to get that without proof of their identity, without proof that they're illegal. I mean, hey, anybody that wants to hang out in New York for a while, maybe you can get a $10,000 check because you don't have to have proof of who you are. And so this is being talked about. And then it's talked about how people receive $3,400 a month that are living in hotels to pay their way, and they don't have to work. I mean, is this factual? I mean, even for me, it's like, is this really? And then you start digging for the bill that says New York legislature, state legislature, Mayor Adams signed a bill saying all this exact language. Or is it hidden from us? Who knows? But once again, it's as if today we have more than ever within hand's reach of technology and information. But it's so misled. It's so much misinformation that's beyond believable. And that's the true beginnings of mankind, of how, the running joke is you take the kids in first grade, you put them in a circle, and the teacher gives them a word, and that one word that goes from the first kid to the 20th kid isn't the same word. Well, in so many ways, isn't that where we are in society more than ever? Even with all this great advanced technology. Oh my goodness. All right, that's it. I'm going to kind of leave it at that. And as always, appreciate everybody watching my channel. And what's the kid looking for? What's she looking for, babe? Need help? You got it. Okay. So anyways, kids all revved up to go work out. So that's her goal this morning. I got to go to work, get things in order, go check on my mother. And we got an early appointment today. So today will be a little more challenging because it's like a midday appointment. So for me to really go very far, my brother's working his ass off. And tell you what, it's not easy being brothers sometimes. You argue about things. And for me, when I come down here, last night was kind of a means we're just like, oh my gosh. My brother just loves to sit there and watch Fox News all night long. And we don't do this stuff. We just don't do it. Not being critical of anybody here on my channel. But you want to watch Fox News all day long? Go for it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot be married to these media machines that just brainwash people all day long. And these media giant guys, where are they? Where are they during the dire straits if something happens? Are they out protesting? Are they out giving all their money to help support organizations? I don't know. I don't think they are. Doesn't matter if it's MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, the list goes on and on and on. So last night we were just at the house. I was just telling my dad, Bart's like, how do you guys watch this stuff? Let's watch something else. It's so bad. It is so bad. And so, it becomes confrontational, but at the same time, we make it work. But for anybody out there, it's so dangerous. And that's why I say, up north, we do not watch TV. I think some people think I'm full of BS. I'm telling you. Yeah, we'll watch shows, that are entertaining, that are funny. My daughter loves The Office. I mean, so yeah. But are we sitting here watching the news programs, the agenda programs? No way. No way. It's so bad. It just makes you mad. That's all it does. So if you're an MSNBC person, you're just going to be told all day long to hate a person in some ways like me. And then if you're a Fox News person who watches Fox News all day long, you're going to be, basically told to hate the guy next door that likes Joe Biden. So that's all it's going to be. And meanwhile, these media people make so much freaking money, it's beyond unbelievable. Interesting. We moved out yesterday, and now these people are here getting something. I don't know what they're getting. It doesn't look like they're a 30-year-old couple. They're not settling until March 1st. But anyways, the whole point of that conversation is, it's just like, man, wow. So it's like, hey, just aren't going to be able to sit around here watching freaking the news. Let's just watch Yellowstone. Yeah, let's watch Yellowstone. Just watch something else, man. Watch. But it's the masters of deception. That's what I talk about all the time. The distraction. These cell phones are a distraction. And we all know that. And we all know that how much these cell phones are a distraction. Well, we live in a society that the governing bodies are distracting people more than ever and abusing their policies. And what are you going to do about it? I mean, I get it. I understand. Kind of leave it at that. I don't want to get people mad. That's not the goal of my channel. I want to be the doomer gloomer. That is not what I want to be. I want to be more upbeat, uplift. So we're going to have fun. That's the whole idea. This is what brings fun to me in my life. And I know it does to so many other people. And that's the outlet. And just like when I met Bob yesterday down there at the Harley Davidson dealership, if you saw some of that video yesterday, I ran into some people that talk just like me, talk just like you. There's more of those out there in this country than the media wants you to understand that. That's why I say it's the distractions. They want so many people to think that this really radical way of thinking about life, it's a very small percentage of people. The majority are more like us that watch my channel and the people I run into. And it was so great running into Bob down there at the Harley Davidson dealership because you know what? He's a UPS driver and he injured his hand, so he's out of work for a little bit, getting his hand to heal. But he said, this motorcycle is my outlet. He's like, this is my outlet. And his wife has a motorcycle. And they go motorcycle riding together. And now his nephew, or his stepson's taking a motorcycle course at that dealership to get his motorcycle license, to get a motorcycle. But it's an outlet. And I was like, right, that's what this is all about. And that's what I try to share with my others on my channel. This is an outlet to hopefully escape from the daily routine that in so many ways distracts you from what life is all about. So that's it. And leave it at that. The kid is heading out. She's going to take the Wild Track with the Hoss package. One of my subscribers, Randall, was asking me yesterday if I felt like the Wild Track is just as good as the Raptor. And I said, you know what? This is the Generation 3 Hoss Trail package versus the Raptors, where Barker had the Generation 4 underpinnings of the suspension. So this is just one level less than the Raptor. And, I'll tell you straight up, bang for buck, I'll take this. Bang for buck, I'm going to take this. Anybody out there watch my channel, buy a Wild Track. Raptor's cool, but you're going to spend close to 40 grand more. I would just say, conservative, 35 grand, 40 grand more. To me, the way I am and think about things, okay, don't get a Raptor, get a Wild Track. Take that extra money that you have laying over and buy a motorcycle or buy a nice used car. Have something else in your driveway instead of just having all your money tied up in one vehicle. Yeah, like I should talk about that, right? And there's that nice AWE exhaust. And she just loves that Bronco. So, right, I'll shut up. I get it. Your communication talking goes on forever. Can you imagine meet me in person? That was so cool yesterday. I met this guy. I was at the gas station getting gas in my motorcycle. This technician that works for a local company here, he pulls up next to me on my bike at the gas station, young gentleman. And hey, if you're watching my channel, thanks so much for your nice comments. And he pulled up and he's just loving my bike. And as I'm gassing it up, and I start talking to him a little bit, and I share some information with him, and I share my channel and said, hey, if you're interested in cars, motorcycle, bikes, check out my channel. I do some morning conversations. I try to keep things more on the upbeat and try to give you some information that maybe helps you become better than me. How about that idea, right? Yeah. So anyways, great meeting you. If you're watching my channel, reach out if you are. It'd be really cool to say, oh, yeah, man, I subscribed and I even watched this morning video. I'd be like, wow. So that's pretty cool. So anyways, that's it. Wrap it up. I got to take care of my mother. Got to go take care of business. And my neighbor's looking at me funky as I talk to myself. Yeah, you get that? So God bless. Have a great day and stay tuned.